Welcome to another weekly episode of Marked Out Radio. I'm Sean.
And I'm Dana.
And the countdown to summer craziness continues. Not too many reports this week, actually, so we'll get through those quickly right at the top of the show. First, we saw that Jeff Seltzer hit the Dexter Town Hall at Sirius. Now, you're much more of a Sirius aficionado than I was, which is interesting because I'm not sure if you ever paid for it. I was a Sirius subscriber for like 15 years, but I did Sirius once or twice. So, his was kind of interesting because my impression, I thought that Sirius still did like meet and greets up in the fishbowl, but apparently they don't anymore.
No, they've changed it. Obviously, COVID kind of changed everything. So for years, there was nothing at all. At first, there was no studio audience. Then, from what I've gathered and what I've seen, they started bringing people back up with the same concept and system of the emails to subscribers where you enter for a chance to gain entry to these interviews. But the meet and greets have become increasingly just volatile and unreliable. There's been some big ones that have gone off without a hitch with big names, but I mean, it used to be like, honestly, back in the day, they could have marched out like Stalin and Hitler and the most vile and awful people of the world, and they would have done photo ops up there. That's the way it was. Like anyone, no matter how miserable they were, would do it. And now that's not the case. Because that Dexter cast is actually pretty friendly, in and of themselves.
I was surprised kind of on the way out. He got blanked by a few people who are typically kind of normally friendly. So I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah, I would have thought Michael would have stopped a little bit more than he did because it looked like he didn't stop at all. I don't know how crowded it was out there. I imagine this Dexter cast was probably one of the juicier options for the dealers and collectors out there. I mean, if you could get a whole cast print done in one shot, that's that's at least a $200-300 hit for selling. So I'm sure there were a lot of people, but I mean, still, I've seen Michael C. Hall work pretty big crowds with a smile on his face.
I'm just curious how many times they're going to go back to the well on Dexter Showtime and think they're going to make money off of it, but we'll see.
This one's supposed to be good. This one actually has a pretty strong review so far.
If I'm being honest, I'm not sure there's any way they can get me back.
You mean the whole woke up from a coma when you thought he was dead?
Well, no, I mean, I honestly, after I never came back after the final season of the original run, which I thought was one of the worst final seasons in the history of television, and I was a Dexter fanatic leading up to that. So, it just, I don't know. But anyway, it was I was such a Dexter fanatic, during the first couple seasons. But still great hits by Jeff. He managed to kind of make lemonade in that situation and get some of the guys out in front of the building, which is pretty cool. I mean, we have pretty cool stories from Sirius from back in the day. What was your best Sirius hit?
If you would have asked me a couple months ago, it would have, without question, have been Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn. But now, I mean, Mel Gibson's almost like a Ralph Macchio level con name. So I guess at this point, it would have to be Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Will Ferrell, who I already had Will, but you're talking two people that are not easy. Julia is one I never had before and still don't have after. So I guess that one. How about you?
I mean, so I had we both had the Timothy Olyphant and Drew Barrymore group shot, which was cool. And then I had the George Takei, even though George Takei is fully gettable, at cons. I had the George Takei in the Howard Stern context, which kind of made it a very fun experience. And I actually got to participate in the Q&A in the fishbowl for that one. So. That was a good time. Those were my two that I remember pretty distinctly. So that was Sirius. But honestly, now that Sirius is starting to do things again, is your eye going to be on Sirius?
I mean, it probably should be because not a formal report, but like I saw that CM Showstopper and other people were successful with Superman at Sirius. Not in the traditional way, but he actually did like little impromptu like photo line and signed for people up there. But I mean, they were trying to force an actual group photo with all the audience in one shot with Superman, which is the opposite of super. Luckily, they salvaged it, and the cast was kind enough to work with them and do better for the fans. But that kind of thing sort of turns me off because it's always like a 10:30, 11 a.m. thing. So you're going to blow a day off. You're going to travel in there to end up with a group photo that you're standing next to some woman with four chins from Biloxi, Mississippi, and and Samuel L. Jackson's like 9 people over. Like that kind of thing scares me. So honestly, probably not. It's still just a little too volatile for my tastes. How about you?
I mean, you were kind of always the one keeping eyes on those things. I was really bad at it. I mean, the funny thing is, I'm not really eligible anymore for those contests because I canceled my Sirius subscription.
I mean, yeah, that's the funny thing. I did after Greg or you, whoever let me in on the first one. Ira let me in on a couple. I don't even remember how many I did. But anyway, neither here nor there. I then had FOMO and I joined. And I think I was invited to one, like, stupid one. And I remember I would, like, I would keep changing my, like, survey answers, thinking that I would hit, like, the perfect algorithm to get in that, like net of getting those invitations. I almost got none. Like, everything I ever reported, like you said, I kept eyes. I guess I did, but it was all secondhand from you, from Ira, from Greg, 2600. I got, like, nothing for myself. And I haven't subscribed since COVID.
Yeah, so I guess that's kind of out. So also another interesting report, an amusing report, I guess. Vinny got Chris Christie.
Speaking of four chins,
yeah,
and not Vinny,
for former governor of New Jersey. I think a brief presidential candidate. I think he ran a couple times. But Chris Christie.
I don't think Chris Christie ever ran, but he definitely tried his hand at presidential candidacy.
What do you mean? Oh, Jesus Christ. What are you talking about? I mean, Chris Christie's been spotted around a lot recently. There were pictures of him overseas at a Springsteen show. Now he's at the Mets game. So
he definitely did some Knick games. He's done a lot of the big stuff. Yeah.
So he's living his best life.
Yeah, I mean, and he's fan friendly, like most politicians, should be. Like they understand that you kind of gotta know how to slap the palms and smile and put your best foot forward. So good hit by Vinny.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it as far as reports go. But there's a ton of con news. Some more interesting pieces than others. I mean, the big news of the day is that New York Comic Con put their photo ops and autographs on sale to the general public. We're recording this on what's today? Friday. Yeah. So they put it on Friday the 11th is when they put them on sale. The only really big news to come out of that on sale is that a couple of autographs sold out, mainly the Critical Role people. Ashley Johnson was one. I think, what's his name? Matthew Mercer was another one. There's a handful of those, autographs sold out. No photo ops sold out, and no one else has autographs, so we're sold out as of now. And who knows, as the days go on, if they sell out. So this is kind of an interesting strategy from New York Comic Con, though. And this is really ever since they've been really, really pushing hard for pre-orders with the idea that then it's really, really, really hard to cancel. And so the idea being, it used to be back, a couple of years ago, if things didn't work out and you decided not to get someone, you can just get a refund. But now with, Leap/Epic, they made it much more difficult to get a refund. And so now, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't love being locked into $1,000 worth of photo ops now 3 full months before the con, but here we are.
Yeah, like legit back in the day, and people like me, it's probably why they changed the policy. I remember I bought photo ops for one NYCC many years ago, and I was outside, like behind the back door, which I can blow that spot now because it's not really viable anymore. And I got several of the people that I paid for. I got selfies on the street. And I went right up. I didn't even have an ounce of apprehension. I just walked right up to the table. I made up some whole excuse how my child was got my credit card and added things that I didn't approve. And before I even finished my flimsy lie, they were already like processing the refund. That's not the case anymore. So like no matter what happens, I mean, all these people could do book signings in 3 weeks. All these people could, we could, who knows what, and we're locked in. So that is very true. And I thought about that while I was buying them because I mean NYCC does not sell out super often because I mean they'll line up 4,000 people for photo ops. They'll just keep churning out the blocks. They don't care. But I didn't want to, I wasn't going to gamble for months, so I locked in.
No, for me, I mean, I remember what I never pre-ordered anything for New York Comic Con. I used to walk in and buy day of until I got screwed that year that I can't remember the actress's name, but they booked
Natalie Dormer.
Natalie Dormer. You remember my rage. Marjorie from Game of Thrones. She was a Thursday only, which is annoying to begin with. And I walk in and I see on the board that she's sold out. I mean, I had never seen a photo op sell out before. I was completely dumbfounded.
I think since then it's happened a few times. I think Millie Bobby sold out that year when she was like, overcome with exhaustion at the old age of like 14 and had to sit down during the ops. The people were like livid. I think that one sold out. And honestly, I don't. Carrie Fisher may have that last time with the dog. I'm not sure.
I mean, look, I can tell you, I bought Carrie Fisher day of. So
I guess
sold out. It was after I bought it.
So that must have been.
I bought Mark Hamill day of back in the day.
That must have been some weird thing with Natalie Dormer. Hence her being Thursday only. She must have had some really, really, really small maximum that she was willing to do. I guess that's probably why. But still, all it takes is one lesson like that, and then all of a sudden you're gun shy the rest of your life. Because I did the same thing.
Yeah, I dropped $1,000 on photo ops today. I'm aggravated about it, to be totally honest. So, and we're not going to even go into what we bought yet because I'm sure that that will increase, and I don't want to, do all the repeat stuff. Yep. We'll do our hype show.
And now Now that we locked in the money. That other spot that we don't name is going to have just the absolute most perfect names that we have wanted for years, like the most obscure of rappers and whatever people you want. It'll be James Marsden. It'll be just the greatest people for us. And we're locked in here with this vacation package damn near on photo ops.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why you followed my lead, right? I only booked photo ops Thursday and Sunday, which leaves Saturday open to if we need to go to the other location.
Yeah, FOMO. I was going to do Saturday because my logic was it would give me a day to rest before Reese Witherspoon. But then I realized that rest is for the weak and, combos rest for no one.
I say rest. What is this rest business? It's NYCC weekend. I mean, this is as crazy as this year might be. Nothing will go crazier than the Tom Kenny weekend. That year, that month. Tom Kenny. We did Olivia and Tom Kenny in the same month.
That was wild.
Yeah. So anyway, that's NYCC. You can of course sound off. A few people were posting. I saw Mike Simon posted. A couple of people posted about their experience buying tickets. Everyone seemed to have an easy go of it, but obviously sound off on what you bought on the Facebook group if there's anything interesting. Also, Chill Out Con, this has started rounding out their lineup, started filling it out with some names. They added Erica Aliniak, Stephen Bauer, Lou Temple, Pepe Cerna. Anything here interesting for you?
I would have cared for Bauer and Temple, but I have them. But I mean, what's interesting for me is the idea that I think honestly, and I've spoken to Tom about this show several times now privately. I wasn't quite sure the magnitude of the lineup. I wasn't sure if he was going to go with like a 10, 12 person like expo, if he was going to go with a full like 25, 30 type of deep like like assortment of talent, upper level, mid level, low level, every level in between. And this is telling me right here that this is a full show. And this is also not like I know, the tough critic out there, Greg 2600, he's thrilled with Erica. That's one he's wanted Chiller to bring out for like a decade, and they haven't. These names, I think Bauer did a Chiller a few years ago, but the other ones haven't, to my knowledge. So he's putting together a full show with people that you don't see every day. So whether I need these individual names or not, I think it's a good sign that Chill Out is definitely going to be worth everyone's time. And the $10 admission is going to pack some punch.
Bookends in New Jersey added a bunch. They sent out an email. They added a bunch of kind of heavy hitting book signings coming up with photo ops. So they added Allen Iverson, which has to. I mean, I know you said you're fine with it, but yeah, it has to sting a little bit knowing that Allen Iverson can be had. $40 combo as opposed to whatever you paid for that photo op. But there is something to be said for a bird in the hand, and you were at the show. But Allen Iverson is doing a book signing. Charlie Sheen, you've been praying to the combo gods for Charlie Sheen to make an appearance in the tri-state area for quite a while now, so you got to be feeling pretty good about that. And also Rob Reiner doing an appearance at Bookends as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take this piece by piece. Allen Iverson is absolutely probably a fifth of what I paid with fees. But listen, to leave work on Eastern, like I live on, my part of Long Island is kind of Eastern Long Island, depending on who you ask. But like I work east of that. So I mean, for me to leave work and go into Bookends is a giant pain, and I'm thrilled to do it for Charlie. But if I could have gotten Iverson for an extra $150 or whatever to not have to do that, it's as pound foolish as it is to say this, I'm fine with it. Like I'll be so happy that day when I don't have to go in. Charlie, absolutely. At this point, I'm fighting the urge to buy a decade past relevancy shirt that says Tiger Blood or something ridiculous, and I'm gonna keep struggling with myself to not do that because it's ridiculous. But yeah, I love Charlie. Movie wise, I was a huge 2.5 Men fan. I was a huge fan of his meltdown for the most part. There's a couple things he said about different religions that I didn't care for, but his catchphrases were hilarious. So yes, the combo gods came through. And Rob Reiner I already have, and Charlie being the week following Rob takes me out of that. I'm not going to do Rob just for the hell of it. It makes no sense. What are you doing of the three?
I mean, I'm committed to Charlie. I paid for it already. So that's that. That's it. I would like to do Rob Reiner at some point, but I don't know. He's going to be one of those names. I'm predicting this now. He's going to be one of those names that I say, I'll get him eventually, and we both know how that goes. He'll end up dying. So,
Iverson doesn't hit that, like, sports icon type of pile for you that you kind of want?
Not even close.
I had this argument with Greg 2600. Greg thinks he's a loser.
If you remember, his mainstream rep was that he was a crybaby, he was a thug, he was all these different. That was his kind of reputation. So, he never crossed into the mainstream like some of the other people who I would even bother with. So yeah, it's a firm no from me.
When I say maybe it was my weird mind or my age, but like when I tell you when I was in high school that Iverson was like a god, I'm not exaggerating. Like he was, I guess it's a different age group, whatever. I would be all over that if I didn't have him.
Yeah, and Rob Reiner, there's really no excuse for not going in for Rob Reiner, except I just don't want to drive.
If I needed him, I would go. I mean, All in the Family alone. Forget his directing. Like to get someone from All in the Family, I think you're making a mistake, but I support it because it's miserable to do that back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's kind of cool that Bookends has these names coming out. It's not the usual. I mean, if you look at the Bookends, the announcement, there's also some of their usual kind of guests, which is like, for some reason, Bookends consistently books these like right-wing pundits to do their book signings there. So it's like a mix of mainstream celebrities.
Oh yeah, Mark Levin. I saw Mark Levin on there. And also, I mean, we didn't mention him. He's actually a pretty big name they added. They also added David Duchovny.
All right, I forgot David Duchovny. You're right, yeah.
And buyer beware, I believe at least the last one, maybe the last several, he's kind of weird about photo ops. Like he hasn't been doing them.
So and what's funny is just to be clear on that, I'm pretty sure he's not going to do them at this one either. Because if you look at you look at the listing for Charlie Sheen, it says photo op and signed book For David Duchovny, it says book signing. It is, the wording is pretty direct. So I would not, thank you for bringing this up. I forgot. I would not go into the David Duchovny book signing expecting a photo op because I just don't think one will be forthcoming.
There's something, and I don't want to go on a rant here, but there's something, pardon the pun here, but it's something a little bit unexplainable about the cast of the X-Files. David and Jillian were like con mainstays. And unless they're active in other parts of the country, I don't think they are, they've really like just vanished without a trace since at least since COVID. But I feel like a little before COVID even. Like it's weird. His entire demeanor has switched.
Well, I think they were con mainstays when they were getting less work.
Yeah,
and then when they started getting work again, it mattered less to them. It's pretty much like that. Because I can tell you, I mean, Gillian Anderson is not terribly delightful, and neither is David Duchovny. Neither of them is particularly friendly.
I will say though, I met David on the street when he was doing Off Broadway, and he was actually quite nice. But I mean, I know his reputation is not great. I'm
talking about at the cons. He was not great at he wasn't bad, but he wasn't great at the cons. She was kind of just like, she acted like she wanted to be anywhere else on earth.
Yeah, she was there. It was, against
polite
her will.
But distant.
Yep.
Yeah, which is fine, at the end of the day. But yeah. So if you want a David Duchovny autograph, that's wonderful.
On a book. I don't think he's going to be hitting your X-Files merch, but.
So that's Bookends. Chiller Theater. They did announce another wave of guests. They're doing a Night of the Living Dead reunion, and those, on one level, it makes me happy because those people. This movie came out in the '60s, and there are still people from that film who are coming out and sharing their experiences, and that it's a really, really nice group of people. And if you like horror movies at all, and you've never done a Night of the Living Dead reunion and talked to those people, they're a lot of fun. They really are. They're really nice. They tell good stories. They usually don't have really long lines. I'm thinking like the Judith O'Day types, and the couple of the writer is still there and stuff. They're just it's a lot of fun. So honestly every year more and more of these people die, unfortunately, and so the reunions get smaller and smaller. But they managed to drag out some less common names for this reunion. So I strongly recommend, if you have never done one before, check it out. Have you ever done a Night of the Living Dead reunion?
I haven't. It's one of those movies that I absolutely watched when I was like 9 years old. Like it was like one of those I would grab at Blockbuster. I know I've seen it. I haven't seen it since. I really should give it a rewatch before Chiller, which is gonna probably cost me $400. I'm sure it'll pass my lofty test of is this worth meeting, and which is not lofty at all. And I'll be there with some stupid 11x17. But
Night of the Living Dead has the most, in my opinion, the best ending of any horror movie ever. I think it's a work of striking genius. I think the whole film was a work of striking genius. George Romero is a genius. And it's interesting because Night of the Living Dead was great. Dawn of the Dead was great. And he really never did anything good the rest of his life. But, I mean, people get mad at that, but that's just, I think, more or less the case. But those were, Night of the Living Dead in particular was so brilliant in so many ways, on so many levels. So many cool things went into making that movie that, I don't know, I have kind of a special love for it. That being said, I actually did a Fangoria Con, R.I.P. Fangoria. I did a Fangoria Con with George Romero. That was the time I got my car broken into. Oh my God, let me tell you, what a horrific thing that was. So in a lot of ways, Fangoria was similar to Creation. Not exactly the same, but similar in terms of how they structured their shows. So there was this show, there was a Fangoria Con in New Jersey. I was crazy back then. I drove to Fangoria Con. I got all my autographs on the Night of the Living Dead poster. The group photo op was the next day. They didn't have it that day. Okay? That night of the Fangoria Con, it was in New Jersey. I had a concert that I needed to go to at Toad's Place in New Haven, Connecticut. My plan was do the con in Jersey, drive to Connecticut, do the concert in Connecticut, sleep over in Connecticut, drive back to Jersey, get the group photo op, and then go home, right? What ended up happening was and I'll condense this story because it is a lengthy one. I get all the autographs on Saturday, or for whatever it was one day, the first day of the con. Everything goes great. I'm very happy. I'm gonna get my photo up the next day. I drive to Connecticut. Freaking amazing show. If you love small venues and you've never been to Toad's Place, it's by Yale in New Haven. It's a sick venue. Stayed over, and what happened was someone broke into my car in the middle of the night. They broke my driver's side and my passenger side windows in the front. They stole my camera, my digital camera, which was actually recovered by the cops. That's how the cops knew whose car it was, because they saw my picture. They went through my camera and saw my photo ops from the day before, interestingly enough.
I'm sure they were very jealous.
They didn't act like it when they came up to my room. But the point was, I couldn't park my car or leave my car anywhere with a blown out front driver and front passenger window, and so I had to just drive home from New Haven at 4:00 in the morning, and I never made it back to Creation Kind. Never got my group photo op with Night of the Living Dead. So I never got my George Romero photo. As heartbreaking as I was, and I paid for it. I paid a lot of money for that photo op. At the time, it was like $200, and this was over 10 years ago.
I think you got to get the photo now. It's as close as you could get.
No, I'm not doing that. Because that one zombie used to come in the makeup.
They probably look more like a zombie now. 10 years later, they don't need the makeup.
I don't know. I have a very special affinity for that show and those actors. And they were really sweet. They're really sweet people. These are the kinds of people who they made cons kind of their living. And they were not making. I paid like $10 an autograph back then. And they were thrilled when you came over. They it was like when you went to the table, they made sure they gave you an experience for that $10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, what part did you like the most? Oh, wasn't it so funny when I did this? Oh, look, see, George is over there. Oh my God, it was so fun. They were really good, really nice people. So anyway, I'm carrying on about that. But Chiller added Night of the Living Dead reunion, which is cool. They're teasing me, man. They're teasing me. They added the beginnings of an American Pie reunion. Now, I know we talked about an American Pie reunion was a draw for me at Rhode Island that time. It ended up completely fizzling out. But they've already added Mina Suvari and Tara Reid. So now it's good. Dude, if they add Sean William Scott,
he can cancel another convention.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't care about American Pie. Here's a reunion they have to have the gumption to go for. The first, if you look on the Mina Suvari graphic, the main image is American Beauty. Now listen, Chiller, you have Tom Unger, Big Event, breathing down your necks. He's right across the right across the parkway. He's putting on a show. You guys got to get Kevin Spacey. Go for an American Beauty reunion. Tune out all the crybabies that are going to complain because he's maybe not the greatest human being. Get Spacey. Do the American Beauty reunion.
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not opposed. Go for it. Let's do it.
Listen, bring them in.
Do an American Beauty reunion. American Beauty is a great movie.
It is.
I can't recommend it enough. So anyway, that's Chiller. Chiller kind of, came out the gate pretty strong, I think. Monster Mania did some interesting tomfoolery this week. They, I don't know what's going on there. They announced they were teasing a huge name. They announced Method Man, who is kind of a huge name. And then how long did it take them to pull Method Man?
Under an hour, I think. It was quick. I'm not sure how it compares in time to the Paul Rudd premature announcement or whatever that was that fell through and just never came back. And initially, it seemed like it would be a temporary pull down, but I mean, it's been a couple days now. It's been at least it's. I think tomorrow's the third day it'll be. So I'm starting to get a little concerned for them. I already got Meth at Steel City. I can only hope his line, if he does get re-added, I hope his line is so big I don't even consider getting some vinyls because I don't need to spend the money. But I mean, I love Method Man. I love seeing more hip hop acts, even though I think he's mainly here he's here because of his horror credits. I don't think they would have brought him out if he didn't have any. But I just love seeing more hip hop. But so hopefully he gets re-added just for the overall show.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect, I mean, we truthfully, we have no inside info for what happened here. I suspect it's a situation where he was booked for 2 cons that are too close to each other and they're trying to work it out. That's like the only reason to pull someone like this. Because it's not like he's gonna get pulled. Like for Paul Rudd got pulled by Marvel, that was a whole ordeal. This is different. Did you talk about Judge Reinhold yet?
No.
So they also added Judge Reinhold, a good guest objectively.
I've never gotten him. That's one of those people you could throw in the pile with like Robert Patrick and other ones that I've seen. And I'm like, oh, one day. And that one day will be in August because, how much longer is he going to live? He's the number 2 in a lot of really, really cool movies that I enjoy. So screw it. I'll get Judge. Are you going to pull the trigger?
I don't know. Probably not, to be honest. I probably not. I don't think he's in anything that I really like, truthfully. Those 80s comedies and stuff, I don't like any of them, really. So
Wow, not an Axel Foley fan. That's crazy.
No, not at all.
Okay,
you added this. Yeah, you added this. I didn't even know about this. You added this to the list.
Yes, the East Coast National Sports Show, which I know a lot of the people that do these sports shows, I think they announced they started the guest announcements pretty damn late. So I mean, look, the show is on mid to late August, August 16th, that weekend, and here we are, a little over a month away, and they're finally adding names. But it's the same weekend as Monster Mania. I have several things to do, and luckily they haven't added anyone I'm really dying to see. You have Sammy Sosa, Barry Sanders, a lot of just the more ho-hum, appearing everywhere name. But it's definitely another event on the radar for everybody to see see if they pull out something crazy, which I think they still have a few more to go.
Yeah, I have no interest in that show unless you do something crazy.
And then in other news, Steel City, which we'll see if we get brought up in the Steel City group again for what we say with this. They added Star Wars Ray Park. What do you think of that?
I'm gonna probably pass, to be honest.
Really? So you're gonna pass?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna get him, which it makes no sense because I still, believe it or not, I've never seen that like second trilogy. First trilogy, of course, started the new trilogy or whatever it was, and it was all right. I never saw those new ones, but of course I've been getting all these people anyway, just for when I do watch it. Which this I probably will actually watch because I mean it is Star Wars. Eventually I'll check it out. So I'll probably get Ray Park like a complete psychopath because that's what happens at these shows. Maybe you add Ray Park to a show like NYCC that I've already dropped $1,100 for, and maybe I think a little clearer and say, hey, I don't really need Ray Park. But, I mean, you have a show that doesn't have a tremendous amount of exciting things. All of a sudden, you start kind of, trying to see things differently. Are you doing that at all with Steel City?
Yeah, I mean, look, I looked at the young Sheldon people, and I was not really going to get them, but now, like, I'm there. They're not really Common Con guests. They, the young Sheldon was a big show, and they're obviously going to go on to other things. I mean, they're both in that George and Mandy show, and clearly, they have some success now. So it's like, look at the price of the dual op with those two. I'm like, I am starting to look at things and thinking what else I might want to do there.
Listen, a con like this it's like if you ever went to a bar and you stayed a little too long, and like maybe that woman on a bar stool you walked by at 11 o'clock that you just didn't even look twice at, all of a sudden it's 3 a.m., you're single, and nothing else better came along, and you start looking at that bar stool a little differently. That's what this con basically is. Like, there's not much going on, and it's actually dangerous. You could still spend a big amount of money at a show like this, and then you come down from the con high, and you're like, what the hell did I just do? Why did
and because the guests there are good, they're just not people we need.
Yeah, that's the thing. I could find 4 items for Hank Azaria to sign in addition to my ever so important phone. But I mean, I'm not going to let myself succumb to that kind of foolishness.
We'll see. Rhode Island just announced. Every time, it's so funny. I've become kind of identified with this. Rhode Island announced a Starship Troopers reunion. So of course you were making fun of me all week that they were going to add Amy Smart and just completely, throw a wrench into things. They ended up not adding Amy Smart. but they did do something kind of interesting. They added Patrick Muldoon. Now, I've never gotten Patrick Muldoon. He's not a super common con name, and I'm actually really excited about Patrick Muldoon because of that. So the reunion is they've added Dina Meyer, who comes to every reunion. They added Michael Ironside, who once he started doing shows comes to everyone. They added Denise Richards, who's hasn't done many shows, but I think is an important draw. And then of course Casper. But Patrick Muldoon being that fifth person is really they've got my interest now. So whereas before I was not incredibly enthusiastic about Rhode Island, now I am incredibly enthusiastic about Rhode Island because I'm incredibly enthusiastic about Starship Troopers. And I know for you none of this really matters, but I know that you were excited about other people that I wasn't excited about. So it is kind of we're sort of matching in our desire to go to Rhode Island.
Listen, if Patrick Muldoon, whoever the hell he is, gets you locked into this show and me not having to find my own way up there, like, I'm all for it. One day I have to just watch Starship Troopers. I really, like, genre-wise, I don't think it would be my cup of tea, but I really should just watch it after hearing you blubbering about it for a decade and a half at this point. Maybe more than that. I really should I have to watch it just so I can experience it myself.
I mean, to be fair, I cannot even like wrap my head around what your tastes actually are. I don't know, but I think it's a Paul Verhoeven movie, right? So it's RoboCop, it's Total Recall, it's Basic Instinct. That's the style that it's in. So if you like those movies, then you'll like this movie. It's kind of like somewhat serious, but it's satirical at the same time. There's a ton of action. It's very gory.
I've seen none of those movies as striking
it's incomprehensible to me.
I agree. There's a couple on there, Starship Troopers, whatever, but there's a couple that I really should have seen from that list.
But all those movies that I listed are considered very good to great movies. All of them.
Without question, I agree.
So, I think Paul Verhoeven is one of those sort of overlooked directors in that, the problem was he did Showgirls, and a lot of people kind of basically crapped all over the rest of his career after Showgirls. But his streak in the 80s and 90s was extraordinary. It was just one banger after the next for totally different reasons. I'm going to go out on a limb here. Aside from Terminator 2, which is my favorite movie of all time, Total Recall might be my second favorite Arnold movie. And I don't even think that's a controversial statement. I think a lot of people think that Total Recall is Arnold's second best movie. In some ways it's up there with Terminator. It's so good. It's so funny and so interesting. They're sci-fi, but good sci-fi always has a little bit of a wink. There's always a little bit of a little bit of humor. So that Starship Troopers is a lot of humor. It's fascinating is there are people who, now I'm ranting about Starship Troopers. There are people who watch Starship Troopers who don't understand the whole thing as satire. It's all nonsense. It's silly. Just like RoboCop, it's satire. So if you walk in there with that understanding of what you're seeing, these are incredible films. And I love Starship Troopers. I've seen it 100 times, maybe more. I just love it. And so anytime now that it's funny because it's getting so much love at the cons now, I love it. I remember the first time Monster Mania booked Casper, he was a rare guest, and now he's super common. So
maybe I should watch Starship Troopers before Rhode Island, the same way I'm going to try to watch The Night of the Living Dead before Chiller, and see if I can blow another grand.
I love that movie. I don't like that movie. I love that movie. It's fantastic. Anyway. And then this is going to kind of dovetail into our main topic of the show. But the kind of interesting thing happened. There was a the company Creation Entertainment. They had announced a con at the end of September in New Jersey called ForceCon, a salute to Star Wars. It's kind of interesting because they typically don't do Star Wars. They have a bunch of other properties they normally do. But anyway, they announced a bunch of guests. There were a bunch of guests that were kind of good. And then they just unceremoniously canceled the con and refunded all the ticket money. But what's fascinating, and it's kind of a like a giant Huevos move that only Creation can get away with, is that they refunded people's tickets minus service fee, the convenience fees.
Yeah, that's a little bit out there, a little crazy. I imagine they would probably, if pushed, they would probably defend it on the grounds that the whatever means of selling their tickets, that they were not recouped from those fees, and that it just was sort of lost in the company that was handling their business. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you as a big company are canceling something, you should be the one taking the loss, not the customer. That's not how you reward or incentivize or make someone feel at ease with like trusting you with their money and their pre-order. So
it's outrageous behavior.
Yeah, it really is.
But it's par for the course for this terrible company. Yes.
It's behavior that would only be done by a company that honestly acts so just without regard or care of what the average person is really expecting. Like it's really like, which we're going to get into for the topic, but it really, we discuss the fans and the loyalists of different shows, but I don't think any con and their people seem more of a cult like following than Creation. It's just a different atmosphere, a different kind of loyalty, and this is how they reward that loyalty.
So, and we'll get to Creation after the break. Finally, I was going to talk about Photo With Friday. I said it correctly this time. We had a bunch of really cool stuff. Every week we have cool stuff. The two that I picked to talk about, Bob Pivaroff, who's like a graphing legend. If you haven't seen Bob's collection of photo ops and autographs, I mean, he was doing this at a time when just things were different, and he has some unbelievable shots, some unbelievable names. But Bob posted a picture with Dynamite Kid from 1988, and I mean, I don't even know. It's one of those things that you just kind of like your jaw drops when you see it.
Let me just say about Bob, first of all, that Dynamite Kid photo is absolutely ridiculous, but it's also like legit a single sprinkle on like the top of a sundae. Like, this guy is, and this is going to sound, you'll probably roll your eyes that I even did, but Bob is such a legend. I actually purchased signed photos that include Bob in the photos because it was a decent price, actually a good price, for authentic Owen Hart and Kurt Hennig autographs. Now, they signed over themselves, not over Bob, so I could just chop Bob out if I ever wanted to and like mat it and do something with it. It's like just a signed, candid photo that I trust in its authenticity. But I actually have Bob Pivaroff's photos in my collection. So that's the level of legend.
Bob is a graphing legend. I mean, he's one of those people, his collection is almost unmatched by anyone. And so I love the fact that we have people like this in our group who are participants in our group. I love that because, you get
I don't think you're seeing stuff like this anywhere else. Yeah.
No, it's just truly incredible. And then of course, Mark Miller, not to be outdone, posted a picture with Suzanne Summers from 1996. And let me tell you, if you haven't seen this picture, check out the Facebook group. Suzanne Summers, how did she look in 1996?
Looked a hell of a lot different than she looked, before she died. That's for sure.
I mean, the picture's absolutely stunning. This is one of those situations where the name is cool, but the appearance, she was at her peak, she looked unbelievable. It was some kind of fancy event. It's an absolutely fantastic shot. It's one of those things where that photo like transports you to a moment in time. This is not like a crappy photo where you're zoomed in ugly on the face or a quick shot. It's a really, really, really great picture on its own.
Mark did not bum rush Suzanne Summers. Like that is a consenting, good pose. And listen, Mark Miller is another one that is a legend. He has been dominating the streets of TC. He's one of those guys where you see successes from him that a lot of people don't have because he's a normal guy with a good personality.
It's funny. I was just going to say, if you haven't had the opportunity to have a conversation with Mark, then you're missing out.
Mark, listen, if you're listening, go to Chiller. Don't listen to us. Chiller. Go to Steel City. Honestly, I have not seen Mark in several years since the last time I saw him in Pittsburgh. So I hope he's there so we can catch up, because it's always a great time having a convo with Mark. So
I was fortunate to be online when Chiller had Meatloaf that time, and I was online for Meatloaf, just hanging out with Mark, and we had like a 2 hour conversation, but all kinds of stuff, and you know why he's able to get combos that no one else gets, because he just exudes likability. There's just no other way to say. You meet the guy, you talk to him, you like him. You can't help it. He's a very likable person. So and it translates to these awesome photos. So if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, please email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out Collectibles official marketplace on Facebook. All links are in the show notes on Facebook and Substack. And if you want your event, product, or brand advertised on episodes of Marked Out Radio, reach out to us today at markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com. Also, if you like what you're hearing, or if you don't, you hate listening, please subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcast, and leave a rating and or review. You can leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcast. You can leave a rating on Spotify, or you can leave a comment, thumbs up or thumbs down on YouTube. We welcome all engagement. So let's talk about creation. So the first thing to understand is that creation is fundamentally different from most of the other cons out there, because they pay licensing fees to the studios that run certain properties. So, for example, for years, they ran the official Supernatural Con, the official Star Trek Con, the official Cobra Kai Con, the official Smallville Con, the official Battlestar Galactica Con. They pay licensing fees for this, which puts them at a different tier budget-wise than other shows. Even big shows like New York Comic Con are not advertising when they have, autograph guests, that they're there on behalf of a certain property. Now, sometimes they'll have like cast reunions where the company will pay for that advertising, but this is a pretty unique thing for creation. So right now, the properties that creation currently has under its belt are Supernatural, Vampire Diaries, and the originals, that family of shows, Smallville, Cobra Kai, Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, and Xena and Hercules. So let's talk a little bit about the format of a creation show and how it differs from a traditional con. So I guess, have you been to a creation show?
I went to a Supernatural creation show. Actually, I went to two, I believe, Supernaturals. And
I assume you were GA for both of those?
Oh, absolutely. And I went to a Vampire Diaries creation show. And as you said, I was GA for both of those shows. But as we'll discuss, at least back when we went to these shows, there was no quick entry and exit, even as GA. Like there was no way to sort of hit it and quit it as a con. Like, you were in for the long haul. Maybe not the full haul, but quite a long haul.
So the way they do it is they tier their ticket system. So the focus of these creation shows is not on autographs and photo ops the way other cons are. They're a part of it, but the focus is on the interaction with the celebrities. So they often have they really have a heavy emphasis on the Q&A. They usually have a party at night. They have like karaoke and other kinds of like performances. They do these other things. And as a result, they have tiered ticketing. So, I mean, it's different for every show depending on the property. But like a front row gold ticket can run you anywhere from $1,200 to $1,800 for the weekend. And it's almost run like a super ticket in the sense that, so creation themselves will bring in a handful of the guests, and then other guests are brought in by vendors. So like if you buy their gold pass, let's say you buy their gold front row ticket to Vampire Diaries show, it'll run you around $1,200, $1,250, something in that ballpark. That'll get you an autograph from the top 5 or 6 names on the show, and it'll give you front row seating for all the Q&As. But the way the con works is there are these constant Q&As and events going on, and you're in your front row seat, and they'll go, okay, now it's time for an autograph with such and such. Front row people, you're first. Second row people, you're second, and they kind of do it that way. So there's no easy way for you to just wait online, walk up to a guest, and get an autograph. And for some of these properties, and this was up until fairly recently, this was true. So like if you went to a Supernatural con, you couldn't even buy autographs a la carte with Jared or Jensen. They only had them available if you had gold or silver packages. And a show like that, even a silver package is like $800 for the weekend. So they were almost cost prohibitive for you to get in there. If you were just looking to get one autograph, let's say I wanted to get one autograph from Jensen Ackles, right? It would cost me $1,000 almost to get in the door and get that done.
Yeah, it was basically completely designed for the people that were going to go for the full weekend. And I mean, I heard you mentioning the prices. I'm reading them on our show itinerary, and my first reaction was, "Holy crap, they're high." And I, would like to sort of point out that it's illogical, it's excessive, it's crazy. And then I realized I paid it right smack dab in the middle of those two numbers for Ice Cube, what is going to amount to a photo op, a signed vinyl, and me sitting front row at a concert, which, I mean, let's be honest, I don't think Ice Cube's going to be up there for 3 hours. Like, for these people, that if you enjoy all that gaga, all that stuff, all those different attractions, I guess it's not the worst value, or at least it's not as bad a value as my Ice Cube thing. But, I mean, like you said, if you don't want to do all that, and you are like us or, other collectors that are more just transactional and you want just your piece done and you want to get out of there, it's not welcoming to you. There isn't really an option to get someone like us in the door.
So, yeah, I remember, and keep in mind, all of what we're talking about is autographs. They don't have table photos at all. If you go to a vendor, some of the vendors do. Well, the vendors do table photos and table graphs. The main guests don't. They only do pro photos. And so there's also the interesting piece of it that if you buy one of these expensive gold tickets or whatever, that doesn't get you any photos. You still have to buy the professional photo ops, and which are, of course, are extremely expensive. But the difference between, like, let's say New York Comic Con and Creation is that there's an expectation that the guests pose with the fans at Creation in a more, I guess I'll use the word, intimate way.
Creation should totally get the licensing to, like, Beetlejuice, do Beetlejuice Con, and bring Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis in, and just watch them squirm as the fans are trying to do prom poses and, sniff them and all the other creepy things those women are doing. But
you kind of mentioned that you kind of threw it out there. One thing that's very interesting at Creation relative to other properties, the audience, whereas you go to New York Comic Con, the audience is probably 70%, 75% men. Although that it used to be 95% men. It's slowly evening out over time. But I will say that at Creation, it's heavily, heavily, heavily weighted towards women. I mean, you look at the properties that they're offering here, and the properties that are mostly appealing to women, with the exception of Star Trek. But the rest of those properties are basically women attracting properties. So it's funny, the only the Creation Con that I ever went to was a Star Trek con that was headlined by Leonard Nimoy, but the sub headline were two famous Klingons who are in full Klingon makeup and gear from the show, which is absolutely insane, by the way, to get photo ops with those guys. I don't know how they pulled that off. So, like, I have a photo op with Leonard Nimoy, which I'm so glad I did. I had to sit around all freaking day waiting for that whole thing because, again, you're just waiting for the one pro op. But I also got the photo op with those two Klingons, and I tell you, I am very glad I did it, because that one of the things Creation can do, because they are officially licensed with Star Trek, is they can offer kind of weird stuff like that. They have access to official like studio stuff that other cons don't really have access to.
Yeah, that's definitely a part of it. And just to sort of double back to what you were saying about the breakdown of the genders at this show. It is extremely female leaning, which I think is kind of an interesting thing. And just like a complete anecdote that I just thought of while talking about this topic. I knew years ago, I knew a woman that attended one of these Vampire Diary shows, and she actually ended up sleeping with one of the actors at the show. It wasn't like one of the big actors. It was one of the smaller actors. I won't name who it was. It was like one of the, like, probably the bottom two on the lineup, and like she would have no reason to lie about that. But I mean, I guess if you are a talent out there, you would have your fair share of groupies at a show like this that you probably don't really have at a Steel City. But it's interesting, I guess.
It's a much more groupie oriented show. I guess that's a good way of putting it. Yeah. The people who go to the Supernatural Con will go to the next one and the next one. It's the same people going to the same shows, and the guests never change. So whereas, like, if New York Comic Con or Steel City or Rhode Island book the same guests 2 shows in a row, those the super loyalists would make excuses about why that's a good thing. Most other people would be like, "What the hell? Why are you doing that?" At Creation, it's expected that the same people attend the same shows. The Supernatural cons are all the same people. The Vampire Diaries cons are all the same people, and the same fans go to every single one. So
because they tap into the well, like all of us. I mean, all vendors and promoters. I guess you sort of any sort of parasocial sales you can make, you are going to embrace. You're not going to be like, "Hey, you've met this person enough. Mr. Rick, stop buying things." Like, if you want to meet this guest for the 88th time and you want to pay us money, please do. But I think Creation, in a way that no other con has managed to sort of hit that artery as far as just like getting that to the people. It's all about parasocial relationships. These fans go on.
So it's when I got my photo up with Ian Somerhalder in this way at this show. Oh, Ian, last time we took a prom picture. Next time, can you dip me into that? That's what these women do. So every show they have a different type of photo.
Yeah,
right? And that's the game.
And beyond, forget the talent. You had, I don't know if he's still there, and the fact that I remember his name is proof enough of how much they talked about it in those groups. There was a photographer there by the name of Chris. Now, the photographer did what all photographers do. He took photos. He wasn't bad. He wasn't great. He was a photographer taking photos. But the women would freak out about Chris. Chris takes the best photos. Chris makes the talent so comfortable. They have so much fun. They're so loose. You think about Epic. I don't know. I know that C-Rat posted that photo with the guy that runs the lines. And that guy's awesome. He does a great job. I don't even remember what his name is from what C-Rat posted.
No idea.
But that was cool. And I also know that, you have Norman Alvarado does, which I don't even think you know Norman, but Norman works for Epic. So when I walk into a booth and I see Norman taking my photo, I personally know Norman. So I know, hey, Norman, there you are. But these women don't personally know this guy, but they loved him, and he was a celebrity all his own. So they could book, and you book the same lineup again and again and again, and you would go back because you're seeing your friends. It's a high school reunion for them,
and that's part of the gig. That's part of the game.
It's all fake. It's all fake, which is wild.
Yeah, I mean, so what's interesting is, so it's funny because I had an interesting anecdote from today, and this is the reason we literally decided on this topic today. Because one of my friends from work, now interestingly, I went to, you very rarely want to go to cons with outsiders, because outsiders, when they view your behavior at cons, will just not want to be friends with you anymore, right? So I very rarely have gone to cons with outsiders. But my friend from work, who I've known a really long time, over 20 years now, we had gone to the Creation Con together for Nimoy. Because, he's a big Star Trek guy, and so, he drove, and this was, back when Nimoy was alive, so, 15 years ago or so. And so he sent me a text today with a screen capture of a Creation Star Trek con coming to New Jersey. I'm trying to see which one is it. Maybe it wasn't. It was Star Trek in early September, Trek to New Jersey, and he was excited because Shatner was going to be there. Now, what's fascinating is Shatner has been at, between the time I went to that con with Nimoy and now, I've probably seen Shatner at no fewer than 10 cons, probably closer to 20 cons, okay? Shatner has been at probably 100 cons between those two dates. And yet, the only one that makes it to the sphere of my non-con going friend is the Creation Con. And this speaks to the incredible reach that the Creation brand has, because Creation has the ability to say Star Trek. And so, and no one else can. And so, like, it's fascinating because if you're a regular congoer, by regular congoer, I mean a congoer who is, somebody who would find Marked Out Collectibles Facebook group, right? If you're one of those people, you're one of us, you would probably steer clear of Creation unless you absolutely have to go, because they're such a pain in the neck and they have all these rules and they're pricey and all this other stuff. So you probably don't want to go to Creation cons, and because of their business practices, like we discussed at the beginning of the show, right? But to a normie, Creation is all they know. That's all they know exists. Creation, that's their reach in advertising. They really have the reach into normal people. They're hitting an audience that most of us couldn't even dream of hitting. And so I think that's so interesting, that because it speaks to the fact that if I saw a con doing the kind of insane business practices like Creation was doing, we talked about not refunding credit card fees or convenience fees or whatever, I wouldn't use them again. I would not give them my money. I wouldn't risk it. They could steal $100. There was a guy I saw posted on Facebook that he lost $100 in fees they didn't refund. So I wouldn't use them. But a show like Creation can get away with that sort of business practice, because I think more than anything else, the people who go to Creation shows don't go to any other cons. In fact, I would go so far as to say they really don't even know any other cons exist. So what I told my friend from work was, no, you're not going to that. Come to chill out with me in October, and you can get Shatner there. It'll be cheaper and easier. And I think that was a reasonable thing to say.
Yeah. I think what it boils down to for me is you have to accept and understand. I think Creation has a almost an illusion of a reputation, and all they really are is like a succubus almost, that they really just sort of leech on to the properties that they license, which is smart. I'm not bashing it. And like you said, they hit algorithms, they scream legitimacy because they have these properties and branding in their marketing. It's not like, as a person, like Shatner appeared at shows called the Super Mega Awesome Terrific Con. And like, what the hell is that? Like, if you're scrolling, that's not hitting your algorithm. Even if it does, you're probably not clicking to look further if you're not one of us.
As opposed to Star Trek Con.
Yeah. So like, they pay the money. It's honestly crazy that they're the only company that ever really did this on a large scale, because it's really ingenious. I don't know the nuts and bolts of like what they pay for these individual licenses, but judging by the amount of cons they run, even though they do more of these little like surprise late night cancellations than I think they want everyone to realize, they still do run quite a lot of shows every year. So I'm assuming they're able to make it work. But they are simply leeching off of what they market and what they license. And I would go one further. Not only do I think most of their attendees don't attend other cons, not only do I think their attendees don't know other cons exist, but I bet you the vast majority of their attendees don't attend very many of their different shows. These are people that live and die and breathe these properties. You don't see many of. I remember I used to go on these groups that are just like people watching. You didn't see a ton of the people that would do Supernatural and Vampire Diaries. If you would click any of their profiles, they were the super fans of that show, where everything in their house was that show. Everything they wore was that show. So they don't even have customers that transcend their shows. They just hit all the property junkies of each thing. which is genius. But it gives them the license to act with such just unscrupulous and shady, methods of business the way they did now, that people are out money for fees because they
Right.
don't. Doesn't matter.
And most importantly, when you go to a creation con, it's when you walk in the door, it's not like Steel City or Rhode Island where there's hundreds of vendors and there's a lot of. It's kind of like a museum in the sense that it's quiet. There's not a lot going on. There's not a ton of vendors in between all of the events. So a lot of it is like socialization between the people who are there. So it's really, my recommendation, I think you agree, unless you absolutely have to because they're the only one who can book a particular guest, my recommendation is to avoid.
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely avoid. Like, the whole thing is kind of the only thing I could even think on, just like a social experiment kind of way. If there's any single male listeners out there listening to this show, it does kind of beg the question: if you went to one of these shows for an entire weekend, where these women are getting all hopped up by these hunks that they are drooling over, how much action could you get as an actual guy they can get? Or, so if you are a creepy man that is single, maybe you try it on a little like sort of like a singles cruise. See how you do.
Yeah. Dust off your Paul Wesley cosplay and go to town, right?
There you go. But if you're not doing that, there's no reason to go to a creation show. Absolutely no reason.
All right. So what's coming up for us? So you're hitting up Eternal Con tomorrow.
Yeah, you bailed.
I'm going to bail on that. Yeah, it's just not happening. Other things came up outside of the con world. Eternal Con. So you're just going for veto, right?
Listen, I suppose I don't think I'm going to flake because I've been complaining about veto for a while, so I really should go. I have, as crazy as it sounds, I have a cookout I have to go to after that. I shouldn't say have to. I'm happy to go. But it's in Dutchess County, which is like I have a 2.5 hour drive to get up there. So I can't stay at this show for long. If somehow Vito decides to waltz in at 12 o'clock or something, it's going to really screw with my day. So I'm a little concerned about buying this admission ticket, and a guy who's not con tested, I don't know what to expect. Is he going to?
He'll be there at open. You'll be fine. You're way overthinking it. You're still doing David Wright. That's this weekend or next?
That is this weekend. That is Sunday, and yes, I have my tickets. I'm all ready to rock and roll.
All right. Tropic Con, you're still going to?
I mean, it'll depend. I'm going to leave it on my list for now, but I got Monster Mania Saturday. Am I going to feel confident enough to go in Sunday morning? If I have confirmation that Rocco is in town and he was there Saturday, I suppose I will. But
of course, we have WrestleCon on August 1st and 2nd. It's going to be huge. More excited than I was. We found out, actually, that the WWE ID title tournament is actually being decided on August 1st. So, here's hoping that one of our guys wins that belt, and we'll have it with him on August 2nd. I certainly hope. I'm actually moderately confident that occurs, and I'm hoping that it does.
Yeah, and I think we might be on the ground at that show. Just
I'd like to
be in the area. Yeah. So,
you told me yesterday that you're committing to that office photo op, that Office Con thing.
Listen, me committing to Office Con is proof I should be committed in general.
I think so.
But
that's an ordeal, man. That's going to be a hellish weekend.
I know, but I think I'm going to do it because, and I'm telling you right now, this is honestly the best realistic office reunion you can ever get. I don't think Krasinski's doing cons. I don't think Carell is doing cons. And if he did, it probably would be more of an upper tier type of guest, maybe not with all these lower level office people around them.
Yeah.
I have them individually, except for Carell. It's like I really just need all of these people. And this is a chance for the low price of $500. I think that's what it costs to sort of bang out all 15 of these people and never need them again. And I mean that, never need them again. I do not want a solo shot with Angela. So I would be fine with this. So honestly, I mean, I want to hit the Office cast. I've been putting this off for years. I think I gotta just take my medicine. And Secaucus is pretty painless as far as Jersey goes. So I'm in. I'll say it right now. I'm in. Could that change? I'm sure, but I'm in.
I'm looking at the rest of this stuff. It's all months away, so there's no point even rehashing it. We'll talk about it in the future.
Yep.
Monster Mania and NYCC and all that. So if you're shopping for autographs, what? Sorry?
Instead, everyone already knows we're in, so there's no sense to rehash
exactly.
it now.
Right. So if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out Collectibles official marketplace on Facebook. So a quick rundown of our signings we have coming up. We still have some slots for the private signing with Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada. Those will be happening at WrestleCon, so get those orders in. Because if you're mailing in stuff, it has to be in hand, or else we can't bring it to New Jersey. So make sure it's in. We do have a slight modification to our WrestleCon lineup. Tiara James informed us today that she is not going to be able to make it. So what we've done was we've expanded Emily J. So Emily J is going to be there all day on Friday. So Emily J will be there in the morning, early slot. It's not morning, really. She'll be in the early slot with Diamond Virago, and then she'll be in the later slot with the Shooter Boys. So it's more FaceTime for Emily J. And unfortunately, Tiara could not make it. And anyone who pre-ordered for Tiara, you've already been refunded. And then, of course, on Friday, that was on Friday. On Saturday, the boys are going to be there. We got the Swipe Right, hot off of a fantastic gauntlet match with Ricky Saints on NXT. Swipe Right's going to be there 10 to 12, and our Evolve champ, who's getting a lot of freaking heat online, and he's getting a lot of buzz around Heartbreak Jackson Drake, is going to be there 12 to 2, along with Super Sean Legacy. So please stop by and say hello at WrestleCon in New Jersey. We also have Mike Tyson private signing in November. Orders are available.
Yeah, that's crazy. But just a quick note. I'm glad that we were like this late in the game. I was not really trying to create anything new, and the demand for Emily J has always been strong. It's strong now as a meet and greet. It's been strong for our privates. Emily J is absolutely a future star. So being able to have her there for the entire day on Friday, I think is awesome. Because, listen, we are collectors first and foremost. It's tough sometimes to sort of get everything in when you have these little 2-hour blocks. So you have a little bit more time now to get Emily J. On Saturday, it's going to be hot and heavy. You got to catch our ID guys while you can because, they're busy. They are busy. Swipe Right. Then they're going to be pulling people's girls that they got to go. They got places to be. They can't be there all day. But, yeah, we got some great stuff coming up, and I'm just glad we have so many signings, with Jackson, in the next couple months, because legit, I keep sending you on a daily basis. I have new, designs from Jackson. Yeah. There's new pictures every single week. So, just stay tuned.
Yep, and of course, I forgot to mention, we still have orders open for Zeta Steel, Marcus Mathers, Jackson Drake, Smiley Kylie Ray, and Emily J. for PWJ Damaged Goods on July 27th. So there's just so many things coming up, and get your orders in. Everything's on markedoutcollectibles.com. There's a million, things on the front page there. So be sure to get your orders in. I think we're good.
We are more than good. We are great.
Awesome. All right. So, I'm sure if you're out at the cons this summer, we're going to see you somewhere because we're all over the place. But, hope we see everyone soon. And if not, and we hope you continue to listen. So for markedout.com, Marked Out Collectibles, and Marked Out Radio, I'm Sean.
And I'm Dana.
And we'll see you around at the cons, and we'll see you next week.